Good morning.
Hey, mister. Good morning, everyone, and welcome this morning to, oh, geez. All right, hold on. I think there's a little lag, and so let me see if I can catch up really quick. So, good morning. Another episode of the UltraCast. I am Hunter, a.k.a. Ultra American TTRPGer, and I am once again joined by my co-host, Mr. Roger, Mr. Marhawkman, and joining us today, our special guest, Dwarf.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Glad to
Good
be here
morning.
with you all.
Yep, so, all right. All right, so
Coffee in.
I'll go. I'll do my usual, and hold on. I think I'm going to turn off my camera too because it's starting to be, and so I'm going to see. This is going to be a no face stream today. It looks like.
Oh, well. Yeah, I mean, that's not the
All
important
right.
part anyways.
Yeah.
We all look
Yeah.
so much more handsome in
So
cartoon
sorry that
form
we were not.
anyway.
Yeah. So sorry that we ended up missing last week. It was just kind of time to make it, and so I just figured, screw it, we last week. But now we're all here this week, and we get to discuss. But first, I like to go on, and I'll start off with Mr. Roger. You get any gaming done this week?
Yeah, I'm actually right there close to the very end of Digimon Time Stranger, and it's like what we were discussing before the show started. The game itself just ended up going into a lot darker place than I thought initially, and then you just think back to the people who actually did watch it. Like, yeah, the Digimon anime in almost all the seasons have like very dark subject matters.
Yes, but
Well,
tabletop
it's like
wise, did you get anything in this week?
Tabletop wise, yes, finally got to go back into the One Piece D&D campaign that I'm running, and then tomorrow will be the next session for Perils of Pandora, and then while I'm at it, I decided I'm going to be a crazy person. I'm going to be DMing a third game starting next Sunday or next Saturday.
Nice. All right, Marhawk man, any gaming for you this week at all?
Had family game night last night, but that wasn't D&D. That was playing Cards Against Humanity, and although that did involve a certain amount of role playing, it's because like trying to explain why certain choices were made of playing whatever version of Mad Libs kind of stuff we were doing, which that got weird.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Like what I was going to say though is like you know what? Actually, never mind. We'll save that for later.
I used to love Cards Against Humanity before they started to get all political, because I think I may have mentioned here before, when the whole Roe v. Wade thing was going on, they changed up their website to where it would ask you when you were checking out if you supported Roe v. Wade, if you supported the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and if you said yes, they would charge you double for a game.
Are you serious?
This is one of those
super
things.
Serious.
Commies are very retarded.
It's
Wow.
like I like looking through the a deck for this particular edition is just one of those things. It's like I would never buy it. The only reason we were playing it is because one of my siblings had bought a copy of it, and several of us are like, "Really? They put this on one of the cards? You gross! I'm not reading that." And that came
like,
up repeatedly in the game. It's like, no, that one's horrible.
Well, okay, my issue is, because I remember I played Cards Against Humanity a few times, and one group that we played with, my thought about Cards Against Humanity is you're supposed to play the most sick and fucked up thing possible that gets the best laugh, and that's supposed to be what wins. So I would come up with the most disgusting, degenerate things with depending on the cards I have. And I remember, and somehow the people that we were playing with, they were all pissed that I did that. I'm like, that's kind of the literal point of this game. Like, if I get Big Black Dick, which is a actual card that you can draw, I will use that any chance I get.
Yeah, this particular edition had a bunch of stuff that's, shall we say, R-rated on the cards, and you're like, really? They put that on the card? Ugh.
I mean,
And,
there
like,
are worse things that can be on
I want to
cards.
say R-rated, I mean like R-rated lewd jokes. Like that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that was kind of the point of the game. It was very edgy and lewd, but it was supposed to be funny and fun. And then they got into politics, and they just kind of killed the fun of it.
Yeah.
Well, honestly though, is that it actually goes so far on the whole like edginess that a lot of people are like, this isn't funny. This is just gross. Yeah, well.
You know, it's like that old joke about some people like sexy humor, and some people you mention sex, they stop laughing.
Yep.
It's one of those things. It's like everybody has their taste.
Yep.
Yep. So, Mr. Dwarf, did you get any tabletop gaming in? Did you commit a hate crimes against knife ears?
Yes. In point of fact, I did. I played some AD&D this week. Oddly enough, in that game, I play a knife ear.
That's funny.
But we did commit hate crimes against humans. So, no, what happened was it was a member of the Scarlet Brotherhood, and they made the mistake of not committing suicide when they lost the battle. So now our lawful neutral member of the party has been doing really terrible things to them to make them talk while I go outside and smell the flowers.
So it's basically the Batman meme of technically he's still alive. Technically.
Yes,
Yeah,
pretty much. And, you know, it's like my chaotic good elf just goes outside and smells the flowers while he does the hard work because, you know, they're all mortals. Let them do it anyway. So I did get some gaming in. It was a pretty good session, lots of combat. Maybe not as heavy on the role play in terms of interactions, although there was some of that. It's a pretty good group all around. So no complaints here, man. No complaints here.
Yep, and then as well for me, we did this past Sunday was session 4 of the Curse of Strahd campaign I've been running on the Rustic Roller channel for Roger and some of our friends. That was more role playing, mostly because when I rolled for encounters, they kept succeeding and not encountering anything. So they were basically So they rode for the first couple hours safely before coming across the Vistani encampment, and the Drow Paladin that we have, who's playing an Oathbreaker, but is playing the Drow to the fullest, like basically complete misandrist as a Drow should be, because they're a matriarchal society, and I've been living for every moment of it. And she started to try to start a fight with one of the male Visanti in the group,
and chase after them. And what was it? Rolled a nat 1 on chasing after them.
Yeah, nat 1 tripped over one of the mugs and fell face first in the mud. Basically. So yeah, that's been fun though. And then I played a game on Thursday, and they played a game on Thursday. A guy in the Barrows and Borderlands server had his own game he made called Shifty Louts, and it's basically kind of like a rules like dungeon crawling kind of thing. And so that was fun to do. And then today, after the family work event that I'm going to this afternoon, I'm doing it's going to be more Barrows and Borderlands, and we are going to be play testing the Dracula in Space module that's coming with the Portal 2 Adventure Kickstarter that was successfully backed and ended just a couple weeks ago. So if you want, you don't have to listen to me rant and rave about Portal Adventure anymore. Now that that's done, we got almost 55K with like 320 plus backers. So I'm really looking forward to getting that in my hands once it's done and completed.
Nice.
Excellent.
You know, that reminds me of some random ad for something whose name I don't remember, but someone decided to make it an Eldritch Horror module for 5th edition, which is like, okay, if you really want to do that, have fun with that.
I mean, horror is still not like the best thing that you can do with D&D, but I mean, I've been trying to do the best of it. But by mostly doing this, I've been using the optional sanity attribute, and I'm kind of playing it like almost Cthulhu-esque, where it's like if they fail rolls, they lose sanity. And I think Roger's character has the least amount currently. So,
well, like this particular one that I saw was like really, really leaning into the we're not going to use the name of Cthulhu, but we're going to insinuate that he's the reason why bad things are happening.
Mm.
Because like the like basic gist of it is that some weird magical event happened and a city just rises out of the ocean, and the adventurers are there to loot it, explore it, whatever. I think I have very fragmentary information because all I did was see one ad for it, but whatever. Anyway, but like the city is like some sort of weird eldritch evil place, and they also went with the whole like mystical thing of like, oh well, here the clocks have 13 hours on them because when it's the 13th hour, that's when you're really screwed. Because and show a picture of the buildings in the city suddenly sprouting tentacles.
Mm. Yeah, I know there's a.
You can totally. Oh no, go ahead.
I lost my train of thought as soon as you started talking, so you go ahead.
Okay, man. Sorry about that. No, I was
No
just going to
worries.
say you can totally do dark fantasy in D&D or similar games. I agree with Hunter that true horror, is difficult because in D&D and similar games, your characters are capable, but you can have a lot of fun with like a dark, pulpy fantasy. It can be really cool.
Oh yeah.
Like Roger will tell you, I think the very first session that we played, that we started with Crystal Strahd, I about almost did a TPK with just 5 zombies on them. Where I took Roger's characters, because his character was traveling with a small troop of men, and the mist came through, and they all became zombies.
Oh yeah, that's one of the other things about this one is that one of the comments that they make about their game in the ad is seemingly insinuating that there's the possibility that the players will go insane. So, because they make a comment about how the city is something that normal people would go mad just looking at. Like,
Oh yeah,
okay,
that makes sense.
Because
I feel like I've heard this before.
Yeah, you may.
So you're gaming in real, yeah.
Again, it's like one of those things that it's just like a random advertisement that popped up.
Welcome to Carcosa.
All I'm saying, I'm just really looking forward to whenever we do next session, but sadly that won't happen till literally at the very end of the month.
Yeah, just because of stuff going on, because we were trying to do bi-weekly, and then our schedules got all like tossed and turned around. So
yeah.
So, but if you do want to do like a more kind of gothic horror centric campaign, you can always get the Darker RPG by the Red Room, which I think OSR Dwarf, you had a hand in that, didn't you? Or was that one of the other horror centric games?
No, I've got a lot of stuff in the current Darker RPG game. It's modern OSR, but it's also modern horror, and you can do just about anything you want with it. It's like most of the Red Room games. It's got lots of components. You can play it straight. You can pick and choose elements. That's where the Red game system came from. Actually, their newer game system was basically the same game system underlying Darker. Oh, I think we have Let's Plays and game sessions on the Red Room YouTube channel, so people can always take a watch and see how the game sessions work out. It's a very dark game by its nature because it's a horror game. The mortality is high. So,
yeah,
you're playing the game for the enjoyment, not because you expect your character to survive necessarily.
I remember the very first time I actually ever played the Wretched system was we were doing I forget the name of the module, but it's one about the satanic nuns or whatever that do the ritual sacrifices. Yeah, and so I joined in, I think, on the second session though, because they had just started, and I was playing like this Detective Gumshoe kind of character, and he's trying to find one of the victims that got sacrificed. And it's funny because the Retro RPG has rules for sex and STDs, and so at one point during one of the sessions, because I think it was like a 4-session like little module that we ended up doing because we all ended up dying and getting sacrificed. because one of the NPCs came in and just wiped the floor with us. So we all got sacrificed, and then my character went into the beyond, like, "Come on, bring it on! I will fight you in the afterlife."
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's one of the things I think that Wretched and Red and Darker do when it comes to like some. If you want to do the more kind of horror based stuff, is they actually provide the mechanics to kind of like give you that sort of like situation outcome, because it's very much
True.
it's anti-hero focused. So it's all about, so everything is like black and white with shades of gray is basically what a lot of it is, and then like your rituals and the magic you do always come with a cost. It's not like you can just cast a magic missile and you're good. There's always a cost for your magical abilities.
Yeah, and I think the game you must have played must have been the Seven Sisters.
That was it. The Seven
of the
Sisters.
Seven Sins. Yeah.
Yep, that was
Yeah.
it.
That's a good one. I have not had a chance to play it, but I have read it. So the Sisters of the Seven Sins, that's a classic, actually.
Yeah, because
from
that's the
Miguel and
one where you
Sylvia.
have the Sister of Pride, which is a transgender nun. It's a man in nun garb.
Yeah. Oh Lord, terrible things happen with trannies in Wretched and Red games. Yeah, it's a lot of the most villainous characters are of that variety. But then it's based gaming, so it's just a different mindset entirely than what you see in most gaming out there. So
Well, I mean, isn't it standard villain behavior to lie about your identity and try to conceal who you are from the general public?
indeed, and if I remember correctly, there was a very gonzo movie that Gene Simmons of Kiss was in the '80s, I believe, where he played the main villain, but the main villain was also transgender. Oh gracious, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. I just think about that scene from one of the Monty Python movies where it's like they're like in biblical times or whatever, and the guy's sitting there like, "I wish to be a woman." That was not supposed to be reality. And so yeah, I was just okay. This is interesting, and I don't know if this is actually true or not, but apparently Gene Simmons is Israeli American.
Really?
Yes, yeah. In fact, he and Paul Stanley both are Jewish.
I never knew that. That's very interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, because like because I love like classic rock. Kiss was like kind of like that first band I started listening to. It came like classic rock, so it was like Kiss, AC/DC, Def Leppard, all those like old school bands that you would like play on like the local radio station that did just classic rock. I used to love listening to those like all the time. Oh, Aerosmith too. Aerosmith was like one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Have
in
you
fact,
listened?
if you go to the Revenge era, which is 1992, I think all of the members of Kiss at that time were Jewish, but they started out. Ace Frehley was Christian. Peter Criss was very notably Roman Catholic, but yeah, Paul and Gene were Jewish. They sure were.
I often had found myself wondering why it was that they were promoted by so many different organizations, despite being supposedly an edgy rock band. And this suddenly makes it make sense because the fact that the people promoting them knew it was all just an act and was like, yeah, okay, well, and just like ran with it because well.
Yeah. Well, I also like to think of because I'm a big hip hop fan myself, and I own the Straight Outta Compton movie, and it talks about like the Jewish like court executive they hired that kind of like was screwing them over, and then when Ice Cube left NWA and did all those diss tracks, and it literally was like I forget, but one of the lines is it's like because you let a Jew break up my crew, and so
Well, Jewish Americans were big in entertainment. This is something a lot of people don't see as much nowadays, but look back far enough, and it's like, Louis B. Mayer and all these other people. There was so many of them who were Jewish.
Here's a different angle for you. Who are the people that you would say are the comic book writers who truly defined American comics? back.
Oh, I
in
know
the
I know
50s
what you're
and
getting at.
60s. Well, just like list off the people that you think of when you think of the people who defined American comics.
Oh, I'm sure there's people who would use names like Stan Lee or Siegel and Schuster or Bob Kane,
Chuck Dixon.
but Chuck Dixon,
Jim
Okay,
Shooter.
well, how
Everyone-
many of them were Jewish?
Jack Kirby, Mike Ditko.
Yeah, I mean, where I was going with this was 100% how many of them are Jewish. That's all.
Yeah.
I didn't say they were up a line where someone brought up that one of the executives, the recording executives they had was Jewish. It's like, but the more that time goes on, the more I think Kanye West may have been right about some stuff.
Well, here's the thing is that one thing someone explained to me years ago is that the hard truth with World War II is that the Allies were lying to the public, and after the war, people were expected to pretend it was the truth, when in reality, people who were actually in the war knew it wasn't. And
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
yeah, but like that was one of the things that related to the whole like Jewish thing, is that they made it about being Jewish when a lot of it really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the majority of the people that were killed during World War II were Jewish, but there were also homosexuals. There were gypsies. There were like prisoners of war.
Actually,
There
it
were
wasn't
of
the majority. The majority of them were actually Slavs.
Poles in particular.
Because like,
Yeah.
I stand corrected then.
see, here's the thing: is that Hitler's forces didn't take Slavs to the concentration camps; they just shot them and buried them.
Yeah, and they had the killing, and so what to look at is that there was an area called the Pale of Settlement in Eastern Europe. This was the area that had historically been part of the Russian Empire, right? So it had a massive Jewish population, which is ironic because the Orthodox and Orthodox Christianity and Judaism have historically not gotten along well at all. But that's where many of them ended up, because they had been part of the original Polish state, which used to be much larger. So when you hear about the so-called Operation Reinhard camps, things like that, those were the dedicated Jew killing camps. It was huge numbers in a specific part of Europe. But yes, there's no question about it. I mean, the Poles will tell you huge numbers of Poles died in death camps or simply being shot. I mean, one of the more famous examples, right, was the Katyn Forest Massacre, where the entire Polish officers' corps, after Poland was defeated at the beginning of World War II, was simply taken by the Soviets out in the woods and shot. And that's the other thing. It wasn't just the Nazis, although they were horrible monsters for what they did. It was also Stalin's forces. They were quite prepared to commit mass murder and did so on a routine basis.
Another thing that people forget about this is that a lot of the stuff with the German concentration camps wasn't ethnic cleansing. No, it was political, because the ethnic groups had their ethnic leaders as what they considered to be their ultimate authority, and they did what the ethnic leader told them, and which may or may not have anything to do with what the German government tells them to do. That's a large part of the reason for this, is that we're want to control everything, and if you oppose this, well, you are going to stop opposing us or else.
Yeah, I mean, it's reading about World War II, you come up with some really weird stuff. But, that kind of brings us into another topic. I mean, do you guys ever play what I called Weird War, or read Weird War comics, or play Weird War games?
I've
like
heard
World
of
War
it.
II, but
I know that there's computer games like that.
The World War II Operation White Box game has a back section of it which allows you to introduce like supernatural elements to like your World War II setting. And if I recall correctly, there is a Wretched setting that is supernatural World War II as well.
It's out there, and I know there are probably people who play it. I think there's also computer games built around that theme, like I think there was one very well known one here recently, which took place in a bunker, in a World War I bunker. And basically, there's a monster in the bunker, and you have to escape the monster before it gets you. It's a survival horror.
Oh yeah, it's part. It's yeah. I saw a VR guy gamer I follow on YouTube was playing that like a while back. So yeah, I know which one you're talking about. But yeah, that's one of the things I actually liked about like when I do like my modern day or like historical fiction type games, I throwing in those supernatural elements to kind of shake things up a bit. Because that's one of the things I wanted to do was like a World War II game, but there's all these supernatural elements that's taking place. Like one of the things I wanted to do was oh, I'm trying to remember what they were called. I think one of the names they go by is the Orcadian Horsemen, which are these basically they're all like muscle. They're all just these muscular things, but they're men attached to horses, all
Hmm.
muscle, nothing else. And what they do is they would roam battlefields for like bodies, living or dead, and they would like take them possibly I would think for food. And it was I want to say it was an Irish folklore. I want to say maybe originally it's from. I could
Hmm.
be wrong, so don't take my word on it. But I remember being so entranced by that story. That's like, oh, if I do a World War II campaign, I am going to be introducing that to like guys are on the battlefield. It's night. You begin to hear noises, and then you see these large, like horse, half man figures just strolling across the battlefield collecting bodies.
So yeah, if you go and look at the SCP Foundation, SCP-3456, they apparently have turned it into an SCP. The
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Orcadian
where I first
Horseman,
heard about
yeah.
it. But it is an actual folklore that's based upon though as well.
Well, I
Yeah.
actually, when I was a child, read some book about Irish mythology, and some of the stuff in Irish mythology is actually really, really weird. And most people don't actually know it because of the fact that, well, it's specific to Ireland and, not that popular in adaptations, apparently.
Yeah, I believe the actual name for it, if I can find it, because there's actually
Uh,
what it's
Irish had these things called, I think it was called Kelpies,
ah
where it was
Knuckleavee.
like,
That's what they were called. The Knuckleavee.
ooh, yeah, Nuku'alofa is similar. It's like the Kelpies were basically, it's like if you see a horse that's like standing in the edge of a body of water and it's just like standing there waiting for you to approach it and you touch it, and you'll find yourself magically stuck to the horse. Then the horse will dive into the body of water, drown you, and then eat you.
Yeah. I used to listen to a lot of there was this one podcast I used to listen to called Freaky Folklore. I always loved listening to it because I'm like how because I would listen to a monster and story and I'd be like, how could I introduce this to my game? And then she started talking about and started to be like, oh, the white culture has appropriated this monster, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this show now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like this was a supernatural. It was like, oh, this was Indian American in origin, and then the white folk changed it all up. Apparently, kind of bullshit.
Which specific one was this example?
I don't remember. I remember it was like the last like it's. I haven't listened to it in like several months now, but it was like the last like 2 or 3 episodes I listened to. She kept bringing it up, like how like white culture just changes stories, and I just got tired of hearing that after a while.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people who carry on like that forget is that stories just don't have as much originality as a lot of people think they do. It's like how many different cultures in the world actually have stories about horses that will kill you and eat you?
I would say
You're
not
talking
many.
about folklore studies.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
It's true. They've actually categorized them as different types because, like, you have Cinderella told in slightly different forms across the world. There's a Chinese version, there's an Indian version, there's, of course, the classic German version.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, like Europe actually has like 8 different variations of it when you like really, really pay attention. It's just like, why? I don't know. It's very strange.
Um.
I
Oh, I
think
have
human
thought, and I
beings are
just
more
lost it.
connected than people realize.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last one I listened to was back in June, and it was called the I don't know if I'm getting this right. It's called the Pish Taco, Pishtaco, the fat stealing phantoms of the Andes.
Huh.
Oh, I'll have to find that one.
Yeah, it's like apparently this is like it's like Peruvian, Bolivian, and Ecuadorian, I guess, myth folklore is what this is
Okay.
known as. And I think this must have been this had been one of the episodes I probably heard about, like white culture changing it up or whatever, because it was the last one I listened to when I look back on my the podcast history for it.
Right, but what did the white culture change it to as
I
part
don't-
of allegedly stealing it?
I don't know. This episode was released back in June, so if whatever she said about it, I would have forgotten.
Because like,
I-
well, what I'm wondering about is like what I was saying about things being similar is that I'm wondering if the person making that podcast was getting different mythologies mixed up and comparing similar stories that are actually from completely different cultures and
Well, I mean,
conflating them.
she would share about the different stories. Like she'd go through like the main story that would be about the monster, and then she would go into like about how it was used in media, other versions of the monster in other areas. But she didn't do like there wasn't but the whole white cultural idea propaganda she started doing wasn't there when I started listening to the podcast. This is a podcast that's been going on since hold on, let me look here. The first episode of this podcast was released back in 2021. So when I started listening to this like all the way through, when I first came across it, she wasn't spouting like this stuff. It wasn't until
Mhm.
this year that
Yeah.
she started really going into it.
I think
I
masks
do
are
have to-
slipping.
I often question if these people have an ulterior motive. Like, do they have a sponsor who's paying them to do this, or is it some other reason?
You know, and sometimes I think it's just that the mask slips eventually because you see a lot of anti-white material that's been popping up in the past few years. And it's
Mhm.
also the fact that people really are just now starting to notice, right? People are starting to notice that the one group that is safe to be racist and bigoted against are white people
Well,
and
well,
white
also,
males in particular.
here's a different way of looking at it, though, and this is something that's been getting more and more prevalent in modern society, and something I personally find to be a very disturbing trend. Define white. A lot of
Define
people,
white.
a lot of people will define white in the context of white versus other ethnic groups as being anyone that has light skin, regardless of where they come from, what their actual ethnicity is. If you have
Oh.
light skin, they'll be like, oh, you're a white guy. Well, we don't care about you.
Well, that doesn't work though because the Japanese are a perfect example of a light-skinned Asian race.
Yeah, but they hate them too. So
okay.
Yeah,
they hate success.
So- Roger, I don't know if you ever saw this one happen because it was before we started doing this show, but there was a guy named Steven, and he was one of the co-creators for a game called Giant Lands that was partially produced by Jim Ward. Before he passed away, Steven kind of took over it from there. And then Steven went on this whole anti-white tirade. I don't know if you ever saw that on X or not when it happened, but the guy
No,
was like,
because this was before I really start delving into the tabletop RPGs and all that, so it would have been outside of everything that I was paying attention to back then. But it wouldn't surprise me that
Yeah.
somebody in the quote unquote entertainment industry at one time went on a anti-white tirade.
yeah, because this was like a few months back, if I recall. Do you remember this, OSR Dwarf? Do you remember this happening? The Steven guy that for Giant Land Games that went on the like anti-Trump, anti-white tirade.
Yes. I know what you're talking about. Now. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and
See,
he's like this
I ended up
Hispanic.
blocking him. So, yeah.
Yeah, I blocked him too because then he started like changing the account name, deleting all the stuff, and people had saved it. And freaking the Nerd Cognito guys, and he was invited on the show. Ryan only interviewed him, and Ryan was, God bless his soul, was doing his best to give Steven the benefit of the doubt. It's like Ryan was like holding the noose away from him, and Steven kept trying to grab it and put it around his neck. Is what the interview felt like, because he was only the guy was only doubling down on the stuff he said. And at that point, and Giantlands was a game that was on my radar at one point, but after that, I was like, yeah, no, not going to do that. And then, Roger, you may not be familiar with this. Have you ever heard of a game called Coyote and Crow?
No.
Marhawk
Good.
and Ozark Dwarf, I'm sure I remember with this, but this was a game. It was basically a game that was like, what if the Native Americans weren't wiped out by the white race and took over the America instead? Is basically what it was.
It's actually worse than that, because I once found a copy of the world map that they use in that game and studied it, and it's like, wait a second, you're actually erasing the existence of most of the Native American groups, and basically they're just like they picked certain Native American groups that they wanted to rule North America, and had them murder all of the other ones. And then there's the fact that most of Canada has become an uninhabitable wasteland because reasons, and thus anyone who used to live there is now dead.
So they weren't too far off with the attitude of Native Americans from back in the day.
Yeah, it's just kind of strange. It's just like you're trying so hard to be progressive that you have completely tipped over your own apple cart.
Yeah, I have the PDF of it, but that's because they were giving it away, and I'm like, hey, I'll take it if I don't have to pay them actually for it. And yeah, it was as bad as everyone said it was.
I think that's how I got a copy of it. It's like, really now, why would you people do this? Oh wait, no, I know exactly why they're doing it. It's because of the fact that all of their claims were basically fake.
Mm. Yeah, and I think the Giantlands did the same thing. Like you like they had the human race, but you couldn't be a white person in the Giantlands game. I think that was another thing he touched on as well. Was like, oh, you could be like brown, black, you could be anything except a white man. So yeah, just these games are getting super crazy out here.
To be honest, the idea of a alternate history where you have like what North America would be like if it hadn't been colonized or what have you. Okay, it's actually something that's a decent starting point. It's just that it doesn't actually go beyond a decent starting point. Oh wait, no, I actually don't have a full copy of the book. Never mind. I have several pages of it.
Yeah, I got the full PDF because they were giving it away for free one year. I'm like, well, they don't know that I'm a white man buying it, so I'll go ahead and take it. So
yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, okay. If I found the map again, it's just one of those things that, for the first thing with the map, is that they just put it upside down because they can. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it reminds me of there's another game that I actually did buy this one because it was Roger got lost, but he's coming back in.
There we go.
My connection literally just literally shed itself. I don't know if I might be able to stay or anything. I have no idea what's going on with my internet right now.
All right. Well, we'll try to keep you on for as long as we can. So
yeah, if it goes off again, I'll just leave and try to figure out what in the world's going on.
Yeah. So
but I'll stay as long as I can.
Yep. So okay, I remember what I was talking about. It was this. It was a Power by it uses Power by the Apocalypse, and it was a game called Dungeon Bitches. Literally, that was its name. And the entire point of it was basically Thirsty Sword Lesbians, but more grim dark, because you're living in this. You're part of this underground society. You're kind of doing dungeon crawling in a sense. But then there's all the usual your PBTA aspects of romance and like inner monologuing and all that. And this was before this is years before I became who I am now. So I would not play this game today because one of the things that it said was when I remember buying the book and reading through it was this game is supposed to be for queer people. It's straight up says that in the book. And when I was talking to a friend about it, she was at one point, former friend actually, because she was one of the people that ended up starting to slander me in the long run. She said, like, you could run it, but it's not meant for guys like you. So yeah.
Jeez, we've only heard that argument literally from everywhere. It's like the whole entire thing of why do you all want to so desperately ostracize and kick out literally half of your buying audience? It's like the most prominent one I can always think of is that what's that woman's name from comic books, like Kelly Sue DeConnick. If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. And then we saw how much reality hit her in the face when literally nobody was buying her book.
Wasn't that the chick that made like the Starfire's daughter comic?
No, that was some fat Asian woman. This was a Karen with blood red dyed hair that I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Starfire's daughter thing is one of the going to go down in history as one of those projects that should never have been greenlit because the person who wrote it just had no interest in actually using the alleged source material. It's in the same vein as that Velma.
Well, she wrote herself into the comic book.
Well,
I mean, you look at her and you look at the character, and it's like,
yes, of course.
oh, you're one of those.
But when you look at it on a different level, though, it comes across as someone who wrote the story, then edited the story to add the DC Comics characters to the story after it had already been written for some other reason. Because it's like that thing people had noted with that Velma TV series is that the person who wrote that Velma TV series actually wrote the basic outlines of all of the scripts as an original work of fiction originally. And since she couldn't sell it that way, she rewrote them to make it related to Scooby-Doo in some way and used the character of Velma as the main character. And it's really blatant when you actually look at it, because like, oh yeah, that's why none of this actually lines up. It's because of the fact that the person who wrote it didn't write it to be what they're claiming it is.
Yeah. It's also just a big old tell whenever you can look at the main character of said story and clearly see that it is nothing but a literal self-insert for the person creating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Speaking of self-inserts, because we were talking about SCP earlier, and I remember I always forget about this because SCP within their most recent timeline has been going more towards trans ideology. One of their SCP stories from a podcast I ended up listening to at one point before I stopped following them was basically an SCP about it will go through the story of a transgender demon. And it was like really bad to listen to. So in response to SCP getting more ideological, someone made I don't know what it stands for, but it's called the RPC Authority. And it basically was supposed to be it's basically SCP without all the ideologue. And it's like basically like fresh content. They're not taking anything from SCP at all. They are creating their own original content for their archive. It's actually really cool to read through when I look at it. And it's actually interesting because the logo is made by a prominent SCP YouTuber called The Vulcan, who, if you go to his YouTube channel, has covered an extensive amount of the SCP archive. So the fact that he has a touch in this RPC Authority thing is very interesting.
You know, the Vulcan has some really good pieces. There's several people in the SCP YouTube community. He's one of the better ones. They're also starting to do live action films based on SCPs as well, which is pretty fascinating. So yeah, Really interesting stuff.
I think part of the appeal with the SCP thing is that you're not going to have to pay a fortune to some famous writer to use his work, and it's something that people genuinely find to be interesting and entertaining.
And I spoke too soon. I found the Volga's X page. I scrolled down, and he's got a thing speaking up against the RPC authority. So let me read
Okay.
this off for you. This was back in August. In the past day or so, I've got a bunch of messages from people asking me about RPC. Let me be very clear. Yes, I made the RPC logo. No, I do not support RPC and have not supported it since I learned what the community at large represents. I have nothing but support and love for the LGBTQ community. I support trans rights. I hate, and he actually has hate bolded and italicized, Nazis and white supremacists. And it's your typical leftist apology for when everyone's getting onto you.
He's doing his
something, is what it
apology
is.
tour. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm truly sorry. And so, but he shouldn't have apologized for it. Someone paid
Yeah,
him
I'm
to
getting
make a
ready to
logo, and he got paid
shitpost
for
him.
it. So, yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
I'm
shitpost
not
him.
gonna be. Yeah. So I gotta make sure I unfollow this guy on my stuff now because I don't want to give him any more support or listens.
And that's
So-
just the whole entire thing that just gets the whole entire thing of them always using the same speech over and over again, where it's like, oh, we disagree with Nazis, we disagree with white supremacists, when all it is that we just disagree with the people that don't 100% agree with us, and yet you have to put some
Yeah.
kind of label on it, to the point where those words have lost any and all meaning just because of how much you use them, to where nobody even knows what they actually mean anymore.
Well, it's basically
Yeah.
just like generic defamation at this point, where all it really says is we don't like this person, and that doesn't really say anything about other than that. It's just well,
Yeah,
one thing
so,
that I told someone about this is that me personally, I would consider calling someone a Nazi to be if you're actually doing it seriously, which honestly you shouldn't do it as a I was just joking. No, we really shouldn't. If you actually want anyone to ever take that word seriously, and if you want people to take that word seriously, it's an accusation, and it's the kind of thing that you as like picks or it didn't happen kind of accusation. And that's what people are just not doing, is that they're not people like throwing that word around like confetti, and the people throwing it around like confetti aren't being told prove it or else.
Yeah, it's like what we've been saying. They're not trying to kill us because we're actually Nazis or supremacists. They're calling us Nazis and supremacists, so they have an excuse to kill us.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Charlie Kirk thing, is that people were calling him a white supremacist, and then some wacko kills him. They were calling him a white supremacist because they were trying to trick someone in the general public into doing their dirty work for them.
Yeah, exactly. They have to find some reasoning in their mind to induce violence upon us. And what's the easiest way to do it? Call people names that absolutely dehumanizes them, to the point where these people will not even recognize you as a human being. So in their mind, it's okay if they got rid of you.
Yeah, and that's actually a very good segue to kind of the first topic of one of the main things that we'll talk about is because we were going to
50
cover this
minutes
last
in.
week. Yeah. Well, it's always like the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so. It's like pop culture, RPGs, all that. And then we can save the politics
Yeah.
for last. So first, and we were going to talk about this last week, but we ended up not having the show last week. So the Snap Apocalypse, as everyone likes to refer to it as.
Ooh, yes.
So I think from what I've been hearing lately, and I could be wrong if anything has changed or not, but I believe Trump has now been trying to make an effort to at least pull enough funding so that way we have Snap for at least the month of November.
See,
You
one of the
know,
things that's a big problem with Snap is that your average person doesn't realize just how much money is going into it, and that's the biggest problem with funding Snap is the sheer volume of funds that have been shoved into it, most of which aren't going to people who are actually supposed to use it at all.
Yeah,
no,
because
that's
think of the
perfectly
last four.
correct.
Yeah, because also think of the last 4 years with how many illegal immigrants that got in here ended up getting like those SNAP benefits, and just the sheer number of increases of people who now have access to that.
Yeah, because like several of the sanctuary cities and states blatantly told the illegal immigrants, "Hey, come here, and we'll give you free money that's supposed to be going to U.S. citizens." And it's
No,
just
you're absolutely correct. The SNAP program is loaded with fraud. Under Biden, it's swelled like to 3 times its original size. A lot of the groups getting it are groups who have been brought into the country from outside. I think the single biggest ethnic group is like Afghans. And a lot of it's just mad money. It's very fungible, apparently. The current trading rate is like, $1 for 4 SNAP dollars or something like that. I mean, you literally can, people are selling their SNAP benefits for cash.
well, see,
It's becoming a
that's one of the
basis for,
things.
people's fentanyl habits.
Well, see, that's a core issue with Snap. That's what I personally consider to be a fundamental limitation of the program that needs to be resolved if they're ever going to make it work. Snap is basically a alternate currency. It's not tied to a person's identity. And this is actually something that is kind of like a twofold problem, is that they set it up in a way that you can just hand a Snap card to someone and have that person use the Snap card. It's not like my Snap card. It's a Snap card that I am currently using, and there's no verification that you're the legitimate owner of it or anything like that. It just exists. And that's like a key problem with it, though, is that like you have a card that has $100 of Snap bucks on it. It's like you can sell that for $25, and now you have $25 cash that you can use for anything and everything you want, and not Snap things. And then you have people like collecting however many of Snap cards and getting like $1,000 worth of food and just like eating like prime rib the entire month because that's just stupid.
Well, you know who's not going to have anything to worry about with that? All the people up in New York City when those government-run grocery stores start opening up and all they sell is potatoes.
Well, I have actually looked into that program's concept, and I'm actually expecting those stores to never actually have any stuff to sell or hand out, I guess you could say, because the fact that you have to be able to pay for the materials that you're stocking on the shelves. And I don't think Mamdani is ever going to actually get funding to actually pay for having a fully stocked grocery store that just cans out food for free. Also,
what he'll do. No, what he'll do is that you want the food? Go to the potato fields, grow some potatoes, and there's your food.
No. Mamdani's not that kind of person. He's the kind of person who would make excuses and blame the orange man for something that may possibly have been thought about by the orange man, and that's why it's a problem. It's just like, no, dude, you're just full of it.
I'm going to be real frank. The shutdown has not impacted me at all. And
same here.
It's like,
Same.
if this is how we get the filibuster terminated, hey, let it run for 60 days.
Oh,
let it run for
see,
90 days.
See, the most hilarious thing about this is the simple fact that the longer this goes on, the more people realize that the Democratic Party leaders are full of shit. It's just that simple. It's just like we're like, oh wait, this is the reason why you want to do that, but that's not what you said you wanted to do. Ah, boy.
Well, that's the thing.
Well-
You can lie directly to their faces and they'll still believe it because of the sheer amount of lies that they've been fed for so many years.
Well,
It's-
again, though, is that a lot of the people that voted in the last election voted solely because Orange Man bad, and they literally had no other comprehension of politics.
Well, they want to be virtuous without actually being aware. It's an easy form of virtue to go along with the crowd. It's like, if you want to talk about Volgan screwed up, if you want to talk about somebody who handles a certain kind of attack correctly, look what Sydney Sweeney did in that interview.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
the GQ interview. That one was
Oh,
hilarious.
she totally schooled her. Yeah. No. Are
It's
you
like,
sure you
would
don't
you
have
like to
something to say? When I have something to say, people will hear.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like, if I wanted to talk about that, I would have talked about that before I talked to you.
It makes me so happy that Sydney Sweeney is just turning into the real all-American sweetheart to where she ain't apologizing for nothing because what does she have to apologize for?
Florida
she's-
girl is doing good.
Yeah,
And she's
she is.
actually she's one of those few Hollywood actors that's be like, I'm just here to act and entertain people. No one cares about what I have to say unless they actually want to hear it.
That reminds me of yesterday over on Friday Night Tights, where they showed like a clip of This Is How It Should Be, where I can't remember for what movie it was, but it was some guy going up to Denzel Washington, and he was asking him about like who it is that he was voting for, and Denzel, without a second thought, just went, "None of your damn business."
I still remember when Ricky Gervais, when he last did the hosting for the Golden Globe Awards, and he basically just straight up said, no one cares about what your political opinions, what you have to say. Take your award, thank your God, and fuck off.
Exactly.
Oh, he's
'Cause-
really playing now with the Muzzies in London. He tried to put those ads up, and of course they quote unquote disapproved the ad campaign. It's hilarious.
Of course they did.
This is the world we live in right now. I mean, it isn't, the left loves to talk about fragility, but there's no more glass-jawed group of people than your typical lefty. They're just not used to the idea that you might actually think they're full of shit.
Well, see, because I used to periodically watch this one guy who was streaming, who I noticed his existence because of the fact that he was one of a handful of people who streams the game Champions Online, or at least used to. What I realized, however, is that he was his main game was one of the Star Wars games, and that's what he would ever go back to anytime he felt like just having fun. All of the other games he streamed were things that he was just temporarily streaming because he wanted to try to get people to pay attention to him, because no one really gave him all that much attention. Anyways, one of the things that he liked to talk about is the paradox of acceptance, where it's like, in order to be inclusive, you have to not include all of the people who offend you. Yeah.
Excuse me. No.
He was also someone who tried to do the socialism talking point of like, socialism is the best way of government ever made, except that no one's ever actually properly implemented it. And it's like, so
Oh,
you're telling
Lord.
me that you think that it can work despite the fact that it's literally never worked. I see.
I was about to say,
One example of it that I brought up to him, because the fact that he's like, well, the USSR was corrupt because of the government. And it's like, okay, how about the time when a town in the US tried to implement socialism because they thought it was good public welfare, and then they found out the people running the town were living like kings, skimming off the top, and basically living like millionaires while the rest of the townspeople were, working to feed the upper ruling class. Yeah, that went down in flames, and that was just a town, and they couldn't even get it to work in a single town.
Like I said, you can't argue with these kind of people that have made up their minds and won't know any better until it actually happens to them. That's why, despite everything, I'm glad that guy got voted in for mayor of New York City, because it will finally show these people that the stuff that you claim that you're wanting so much is not going to be good for you all.
I'm genuinely curious whether he is ever actually going to act as mayor, because people have started to realize just how bad electing him actually was.
So
And there's been a lot of questions about whether the election was even legal.
So there's a couple problems though with that though. While I am all for New York City burning to the ground, a couple issues is one, as the mayor, a lot of the stuff he promised he will not be able to do because he doesn't have the power to do so. That's
Like
the first
locking up
point.
ICE agents.
Yeah, he will, and I think even doing like the government funded grocery stores, that I don't think he has the full capacity to be able to do that either. Number two
he
is
fully did the whole like a chicken in every pot speech, and I expected to be
Yeah.
taken seriously.
number two is also the problem will be is all those that are still conservative leaning or like your classic liberal will leave the city, which will leave all the commies there, and then there'll be no chance to redeem New York City. It will become a full communist state on its own at that point. So that means That means that this is something I heard from listening to the podcast I listened to. We will soon, if New York City is all commies, that means we'll get commies in the government that we're constantly going to have to fight against.
I don't think that's possible, though. And the reason why is that I fully expect the city to hollow out pretty soon. They're much more likely to end up in an escape from New York scenario.
There's specific reasons for the New York economy being what it is. And those reasons are because of the fact that a whole lot of rich people have it as their base of operations. If those rich people leave New York, the economy will implode because that's who made it what it is.
I mean, you got Bill Ackman kissing ass as fast as he can, but he will ultimately just pull out and go back to Westchester County, and New York will be hollowed out. I mean, the only reason Chuck Schumer has a job is because of all the billionaires on Wall Street.
Yeah, well, it's like as much as the Democratic Party likes to talk about how they're trying to fight the oligarchy. Yeah, the Democratic Party is run by oligarchs, so they're just fighting the oligarchs they disagree with.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Then issue number three,
Yeah.
and this is one that we've been seeing happen often, is when Democrats leave blue states for red states, they still keep voting Democrat. They don't change. So the problem is, I don't trust that these people, if they do leave New York City, that their politics or their ideologues are going to change when they move.
That's because historically there hasn't been consequences for that kind of behavior.
Mhm.
But already you can see that we're getting a different mindset about that. The attitude is clear. You want to come to my state? Fine, but you leave your shit politics behind you, or we're going to make it rough on you.
Like, did anybody
This
see that little poll that Ron DeSantis put up about the eventuality of New Yorkers trying to migrate to Florida and say like what we should do, and like the number one voted thing was like put a wall around Florida because there's people there.
No. See, well, what you need to do with the New Yorkers is give them addresses that are somewhere out in the middle of the Okefenokee swamp.
There you go.
Send the Gator, what was it, Gator Alcatraz or something?
No. See, Gator Alcatraz, people overstate how wild that area actually is. They chose that location because it already had well-paved roads leading to it. No. I'm talking about the areas that you need an airboat to get to because no other form of transportation invented by mankind is capable of getting to there in less than an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
And I guess go ahead.
I was just gonna say the one thing I can just say, Hunter, is that one thing I can disagree about with what it is that you were saying about the people who lean right and everything leaving New York, and that's just going to cause like even more of that stuff to happen. The problem with that is that if you're living in an area that actively despises you, everything that you stand for, why would you have any reason whatsoever to even stay there any longer?
Yeah, but the also issue is most of the time when you're a rich person, most of those rich people are also Democrat leaning. They're not always conservative.
But yeah, but more than likely, but are we talking just strictly about the rich people, or are we just talking about like the everyday person that's just trying to get by?
If you are an everyday person that is trying to get by, I would be more acceptable of them being able to vote like how I would vote. The problem is, you also have to look at the population of New York City and how they always like to vote. Because I think the majority of white women who voted for Mandami to be the mayor of New York City.
See, that's also one of those things
overwhelmingly.
that I heard mentioned about the whole ballot thing, is that the actual physical paper ballots had Cuomo's name on them in some weird location where it you would actually have to look for it to find the fact that his name was on the ballot at all. And if you just looked at it most people would just where if you looked where you would expect his name to be, it wasn't there. And a lot of people are questioning why that was, and yeah, it's like I don't know where that's going to go, if anywhere, but it's very strange.
And also, I'll just say this, Hunter. Liberal white women are quite possibly the biggest group of retards in this country.
Surpassed only by liberal Asian women.
They're one of the groups that's most likely to vote blue simply because vote blue.
It's like I'd never have yet to meet a liberal Asian woman. Almost anyone of the Asian race is more conservative than anything, because that's usually how most Asian families are brought up.
Exactly.
Well, see, that's one of those things that people keep forgetting about why liberalism in the modern era is not the same as liberalism in the 50s. It's because of the fact that modern liberalism is actually progressivism that took over because of the fact that
it's like
the
progressing
old school
down the
liberals,
drain.
The old school liberals got what they wanted, so now they have no causes left to fight for. And so they have to make up new causes to fight for that the old school liberals thought were worthless and not worth pursuing. So they have to, well, it's because it's the whole progressivism thing. It's like people like to do the left versus right thing as if it's a binary choice, when in reality it's more like you have traditionalists who are sitting on an island, and all of the liberals are just in motorboats moving away from the island in whichever random direction strikes their fancy.
Yeah, because let's not forget about. Go ahead, Honor.
Now, you go ahead and finish your thought really quick, and then I was going to move on to the final point I was going to make for today.
Yeah, because you also have to just think that, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but there was a oh my god, I'm not even thinking of the word. It's a bunch of videos and everything all in one, a collection of videos where all these white women were celebrating the fact that now that he's in, they're going to be having Sharia law. And I'm like, bitch, do you even know what Sharia law is?
I actually
That's the
saw someone on Quora unironically try to tell me that Sharia law it actually respects and approves of the Rainbow Mafia and
yeah.
women's rights.
Yeah. And this is where I will tie with this perfect segue to the final point. We went from never forget to we all forgot
Yep.
because it is 14 years ago. The country suffered one of the greatest tragedies in our lifetime. Because I don't know if
Hunter, that wasn't 14. That was 24 years ago.
Yeah.
20. Oh shit! Oh my god! I'm thinking of this. I basically pulled that stupid Smosh skit where some freaking chick think 9/11 happened in 2011. Jesus
Yeah, pretty
Christ!
much.
I was like, hold
God.
on, math ain't mathing right now.
So my apologies, everyone. 24 years ago, this country suffered one of the greatest tragedies, and I don't know if you all remember where you were when that happened, or
I
hold up.
was in my fourth grade classroom.
I
I
was
was in,
participating in a U.S. Army field exercise in Grafenwehr, Germany.
I was working in a law office at a particularly shitty job, so I choose to forget that part of it.
yeah. I believe I was also in fourth or fifth grade when it happened. But the thing is, I didn't know when I first heard about it. We were about to take one of my little sisters to her gymnastics class, and we found out from one of the instructors that was still there, kind of closing shop, that it was closed because that 9/11 happened. So I did not see it. I heard about it. That is what. So, and then I think the next day, when they pulled in like TVs, there was all the news reports about it, and again, it's like I'll stand my ground here. I don't believe these stupid conspiracy theories that people have come up since 9/11. The fact it was a Islamic terrorist attack, and there was enough proof that proves that as such. And ever since then,
Oh yeah,
we have decided that we are going to forget. It's like, and I'm gonna make this statement here. Islam is not a religion. It is terrorism disguised as a religion. If you actually read the Quran, it actively states out that Islamic believers should kill anyone who goes against them.
Yep, I know.
Mhm.
I actually used to live in Kuwait and talked to a Kuwaiti man on multiple occasions who was one of the Kuwaitis who was in the Kuwaiti army back when Iraq invaded them. And it's like he was someone who loved Americans. But talking to him and actually getting to know him and how he felt about things beyond that, you realize that he's not really a good person. He's someone who likes Americans because he can profit off of them, not because of and okay, yes, he does genuinely feel grateful to America for preventing his livelihood from being destroyed by the Iraq War. But it's not exactly a philanthropic relationship. It's I like Americans because they help me, not because I actually feel that Americans are people I value outside of them helping me.
I remember there was some news segment. I don't remember where it was from, but I remember seeing this float around where this news reporter interviewing a Muslim like authority figure or something, and they were like, and the Muslim guy was like, "Oh, we love the left because they're all a bunch of idiots that side with us regardless."
Yeah, so someone posted a meme pic about American leftists holding a bow while a Muslim draws the bow, but the arrow is pointed at the person holding the bow.
Hold up, Roger. I just saw that you're sharing something. Oh yeah, this is the other comparison they've been making, where it's like apparently they consider Donald Trump as a king, but yet Madami wants to expand the government to be a part of everyone's life.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one for you. It's like, who voted the current Iranian regime into power?
The terrorists.
No, the feminists and radical degenerates. the current Iranian regime actually got elected into power, and then after they got elected into power, they basically told the Iranian people, we're not going to ever be unelected, so get over it, and killed all of the people who actually opposed them.
Yeah, like when people were talking about Israel bombing Gaza, and then they're like, "Oh, they're killing innocent civilians." And my question is, were they Muslim? Because here's the problem: I can't feel bad. I can't call a Muslim an innocent life when their whole ideology is to have me dead.
Also, here's the thing: Muslims in general treat the Palestinians like scum, which tells you a lot about them, because the fact is, like, wait a second, aren't Muslims supposed to be like kind to your fellow man and treat your fellow man with dignity and respect? And they're treating the Palestinians like scum despite being fellow Muslims, because the fact that the Palestinians basically think that their way of being Muslim is the only one that's right, and that they actually have tried to overthrow the governments of Egypt, Lebanon, and I keep forgetting the other one, Jordan.
Yeah, and it's like I'm just one of those. I'm getting to the point where, especially seeing Mandami now become mayor, I'm thinking like we need to put some stipulations on freedom of religion at this point, because if your religion calls for the death of people that don't believe according to you, I don't think that should be allowed in America.
See, that's one of the things that's interesting, is that freedom of religion always has had challenges related to that. That was actually something that got brought up in challenges people forgot years ago, is that people actually did rule that human sacrifice is not protected under freedom of religion. Because yes,
Yeah.
someone actually made a legal challenge related to that.
You got any thoughts you want to share, Dwarf?
It's interesting. You look at the world and you see the same patterns. In Iran, for instance, the communists gleefully supported the Iranian Revolution, and they were among the first ones put up against the wall.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
In America, communists are ushering in an Islamist revolution in New York. And ironically, 1 in every 3 of the Jews of New York who voted in that election, guess who they voted for? Mamdani.
Yep. And they're going to be the first ones purged.
So this is why I don't waste a lot of time with empathy for their positions, because they're gay and retarded.
Well, that reminds me of a discussion I had with someone earlier this week, is that empathy is not necessarily something that is a positive force. Like
It is not.
I was discussing this in the context of the Predator movies and humans trying to understand the motives of the predators, is that understanding an enemy does not mean that you like that enemy. Understanding someone's motives might make you hate them even more.
More importantly, understanding them is irrelevant unless you're seeking to understand your enemy for the purpose of using that understanding against them. If by understanding the enemy, you are effectively being co-opted by the enemy, then you have become the enemy.
Well, also, it's like Sun Tzu's Art of War. Know your enemy, know yourself, and in 1,000 battles you will not be defeated. Why? Because of the fact that if you know what your enemy is capable of, what your enemy's motives are, you can manipulate your enemy into doing what you want. Which is exactly what this whole Islamic thing is that they lie to people, tell people what the people want to hear, and knowing that they have no interest in actually doing any of those things that they're saying, but they know that once they get into power, they're free to do whatever they want.
There was I can't find the page on Facebook anymore, but it had this video that it made where it took stuff from the Bible and stuff from the Quran, and it came up with this interesting idea that the book of Revelation, the Antichrist, it's not going to be atheism coming into power, but it's going to be Islam coming into power.
Well, this is actually
forcing everyone by the sword.
This is a discussion I've had with a lot of people recently, is that what does the Bible tell us about the origin of Islam?
That's a very good. I can't say I'm 100% like biblical historian, so you'll have to tell me.
I'm not aware of anything in the Bible about Islam, but I'll let you cook.
It never
Tell us.
mentions Islam by name. That is true. It does not mention Islam by name. It does, however, mention that Abraham had 2 sons, one of which went on to be the forefather of the people of Israel. The other was the forefather of, well, the Bible doesn't say. It just says that I will make him into a great nation, and that I will put enmity between him and your other sons' descendants. Well, that enmity is Islam. Like, the Muslims hate Jews more than anything else. And granted, they, have a whole bunch of other things, but like that right there is the whole like Genesis to, yeah, I said that word. Anyway, of the whole like Muslims versus Jews thing. That was it. What God told
there's been
Abraham.
long-standing conflicts between.
Thousands of years.
If you read the Old Testament, it's very interesting. If you see the line of the righteous seed, their worst enemies have almost always been family. Jacob and Esau may have ended their lives getting along well, but their descendants did not. And in fact, it was one of Esau's descendants who became Herod the Great, and quite possibly one of the most disastrous rulers over the Israelites imaginable, because he gave them over to the Romans. And of course, we know what the Romans eventually did.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, because there was that weird point in time when all this trans ideology stuff was really kind of climaxing a little bit, where somehow Christians and Muslims were like united for like a brief moment in time against all this, and then Israel and Gaza happened, and we just went back to the usual stuff again.
Well, but here's the thing, though, is that the whole thing with Israel and Gaza is that most of the stuff with people supporting Gaza are supporting the Gazans because of lies.
Yeah, and like again, I'm not like a super staunch Zionist supporter of Israel. I think Israel should glass the Middle East to extinction, just not with American dollars.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the other thing is that
Absolutely.
why did
Let
Trump
them fight who they want?
Why did Trump have B-2 bombers take out that Iranian nuclear processing plant?
Wasn't it because they were not supposed to be having like nuclear construction happening or something like that?
Yes, but according to who dictated that the Iranians were allowed to have a nuclear technology?
You'll have to answer that for me because I have no idea.
The United Nations.
Yeah, we have issues with that as it is.
But that's the thing that people are like, oh, Trump was risking World War III by bombing the United Nations told the Iranians that they weren't allowed to do this, and Trump just enforced a UN mandate.
Yeah, and this is why, kind of going off topic here for a little bit, I have issues also with the people in Nigeria asking for U.S. intervention. It's because at my point, it's like, yes, it's sad what's happening to Christians over in Nigeria. We have enough issues still here we're trying to figure out. So my thing is, if you are a Christian in a country that is persecuting you or killing you, you need to come to America and seek asylum. We should not be coming to save you. You should be saving yourselves. Come to America where you will not be as persecuted upon, I guess, because we have issues with that still to this day. But we cannot afford to spend more dollars trying to save other countries when our country still needs saving as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say all these missionaries we keep sending them out, bring them back, bring the Christians that they were preaching to with them, and hopefully that won't cause any issues because again they'll be Bible believing Christians, and they should easily integrate with American society.
I mean, one can only hope.
Yeah, one can hope. But it's like nothing's guaranteed.
Okay, so like the religion part would be the easy part, but the like actual like mechanics of daily life. You know what? Remember what I was saying earlier about dumping them in the Everglades? Those guys would actually be able to handle that and consider it a reasonably good way of life because
No,
the
I wouldn't
fucking
want to fix them in
jungle they
like a.
already live in.
I wouldn't want them to live in jungles. I want people to be able to live in good homes and be able to live if they choose to like live in that kind of lifestyle. That's all on them. So
Well, that's just it though with the Everglades is that most of it is not lived in because of the fact that people would rather live in big cities. You can actually live in most of the parts of the Everglades reasonably comfortably if you know, actually build a proper house, which granted that's a different discussion. So, you know, I'm not saying it would be quick or easy. I was just saying that it was if you put a group of them, they could actually like build their own little town and just like living there.
yeah, but yeah, but that's like just kind of going back to the kind of topic and what the title of this episode was for was we have lost the plot. Like, well, we've lost it for quite some time now. But after, especially voting in Mandami, we have absolutely lost the plot of what this nation was supposed to be built upon. Like, I remember there was at one point blasphemy laws where if you spoke out against like Christianity, you would be like punished for it. And we don't have that anymore because, I mean, of course, I think it's ridiculous to even have blasphemy laws when you have a country that's based on freedom of religion. But at this point, it's like it's especially also kind of bringing this up the idea that the Supreme Court may overturn gay marriage. That's another thing that's been kind of been talked about now.
See, that's actually one of those things that's an interesting topic of discussion because of the fact that even when you look inside the Rainbow Mafia, those people are not a single group. The people who want to present them as a collective voice of unity and solidarity are liars, and the people inside there, a lot of them really don't care about any of this legal nonsense and think that it's a lost cause and that they would be better off just staying away from it.
Because I think honestly they need to just bring back, I would say, bring back common law marriages. So that way, like,
Well, that's
even
just it,
if
is
like
that a lot of places in the U.S. actually already recognize those.
it's
It's
like
like if you
state of
live together.
Arkansas did away with them.
Well, yeah, it's like some places wanted to like force people to like actually have an official piece of paper, but realistically, that's a very newfangled way of doing it. It's not a traditional way of doing it, and that the majority of the United States had their laws set up to basically be like, we don't need the government's permission to declare ourselves as a married couple. And like that was the thing with that is that it used to be that it's just like I I am taking this woman as my wife, and just like all you do is like tell the people in the town square that we're married now, and that was all the paperwork you needed to do.
Yeah, it's like as much as I want people to have like their rights and live in freedom and have lives of happiness, it's also gotten to the point where it's like I think we've given people a little too much freedom now these days.
I mean, it's worse when you think about that's like how much of the freedom is dependent on the government allowing you to follow the regulations the government already has in place. Ugh.
Roger, you got any thoughts?
People are stupid. That's all it really boils down to is that you just tell them anything that sounds good, and they'll run to it with their arms wide open.
Do you remember the Men in Black movies?
Oh yeah,
The most
There were
real
only
thing,
two.
the most real thing in the Men in Black movies is when Agent K is talking to Agent J about public perception of the Men in Black. He's like, as a general rule, people as a whole are stupid, cowardly sheep. okay, I'm doing the wrong phrasing, but like that's the basic gist of it. It's like, yes, when you talk to a person one-on-one, they might be reasonable and intelligent and someone you can like convince of something. But when you're talking about people as a group are just going to, you know, act as like a flock of sheep running around. It's like, so when you're dealing with people as a group, you give them something to look at, even if it's a fake, to because like as like the members of the Men in Black, it's like they don't really want to tell the general public the truth. They just throw up a smoke screen, and the general public falls for it.
All right. And what about you,
That makes
Dwarf?
sense.
I don't know if he can hear me or not. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. It's you know, I don't know. I think you'll always have a large percentage of people who can be easily misled because they simply aren't paying attention. Not everybody pays attention to the things they should, particularly when it becomes to civic matters, to civilizational issues. And there's also this reluctance, this tendency to check what the guy on the left or the right is saying as well, to avoid standing out. Some people just want to go through life without having to deal with anything controversial. So when you combine these factors, you do get this is what historically made democracy contemptible to certain kinds of people, because it seems like a kind of herd mentality, a kind of herd weakness. They obviously have never studied Greek democracy, which was anything but. It was, if anything, incredibly vicious. But the reality is that especially in America, we are so comfortable. We are so able to go about our days without having to worry with basic issues that it becomes very easy to simply ignore the root of problems. And when you look at New York City, I guarantee you, after 2 years of Mamdani, he will set up the Republican Party for the midterms. He will be such a disaster that he will absolutely be spawning movements. This is why there was such a push behind Cuomo, even after he lost his own party's primary. There are elements of the Democrat Party who said, oh my God, it isn't so much that we disagree with Mamdani, because, by the way, Cuomo would have governed the same way Mamdani will. He has to. Remember, he got kicked out for getting off the reservation even a little bit. No, there would have been no difference there, but there is a difference of perception. The better thing is to have Mamdani and the reality, and to understand the perception matches the insanity, than to have a Cuomo who has all of the insanity, but people foolishly think he's somehow different. Now, the reality is what they needed was Curtis Sliwa, but of course they didn't vote for that.
I mean, the majority of people in New York weren't going to vote for Sliwa solely because of the fact that he's not blue. So,
well, I know he's not Muslim, he's not a commie, he's not a Democrat. You know, but it may be that he will that this victory, Mamdani's victory, will pave the way for Elise Stefanik to become the first Republican governor of New York in many years.
Well,
because of the disastrous clapback.
The one thing you said earlier is like something that's very key here is a very, very old saying. It's like, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. It's like that. There's a reason why all these politicians constantly lie, because if they told the truth, they wouldn't get what they wanted.
Yeah, and now we've changed the truth to my truth, instead of there just being an objective truth that we all agree and understand. Everyone's like, I believe this, or this is the only way that I can believe. If you don't believe with me, you're against me.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, classic relativism. I mean, it's like, this is part of what the decline of Christianity as a public institution. You know, there certainly are a lot of Christians in terms of, especially more modern evangelical churches continue to swell their numbers while the liberal mainline and Roman Catholicism shrinks. I think I've read it that, you know, the Orthodox and Roman Catholic denominations oftentimes have difficulty finding sufficient priests who are qualified to continue to lead their congregations. While these traditional examples of public Christianity are fading, and there you have lots of private expressions all over the world. The reality is that Christianity as a public or civic institution has been on decline for a long time. Particularly, it began in Europe, but eventually that came to the U.S. as well, as it tends to do. And this has left people without a central repository of kind of common beliefs and common ideas about the human condition. It can serve, even with all the variability and conflicts and pushing back and forth, it still serves as a taproot, a foundational thing that can bring everyone together around, okay, here are our values. This is why you have Muslims doing so well, Indians doing so well in Western societies once they start to form numbers in local areas. They retain the idea of a commonality and of a civic space for their belief systems, and so they naturally unite. Whereas we are basically facing large numbers of people who've been taught in school that there is no truth other than whatever your professor just told you last.
Well, see, that's
Um,
what goes with that thing I was saying about how like progressivism replaced traditional leftism, is that they're just like constantly trying to erode society.
Yeah, for
Anyways,
them, it's like if you look what happened in Spain, it's the difference between the communists and the syndicalists. The syndicalists just wanted to burn everything down and steal whatever was left. The communists took advantage of this, as they typically do, because they're the only organized force on the left. But now the communism is effectively dead of that variety everywhere. Communism is dead, even in North Korea. Basically, the guy's just a historic style Korean tyrant. Korean kings were very much like that, extremely tyrannical and obsessive about it. What you have left is gay race communism, cultural Marxism, neo-Marxism, and literally it exists only to tear things down.
yep. And so I figured we'd end this show on probably a little bit of a funnier note. So I sent this in the group chat from Fandom Pulse on X. George R.R. Martin is being accused of using AI art in his Feast of Crows premium hardcover edition.
Well, good
yeah.
for him.
I looked at that, and my thoughts on
that
it.
way he'll actually get it done.
That's actually funny.
Is that it's kind of like that thing you said, though, is that whether it's AI art or not, it doesn't look good. So whether it looks good is like,
but at least he'll get it done.
Yeah, but Lord Mattias, our mutual friend here of the channel, said it best in his comment. It might be, but who cares?
Yep.
Exactly.
It's like, because go ahead, Roger.
It's just the whole thing of, George, you've just gone on for so long, ever since the last book came out, and you keep on making these empty promises of, it's getting worked on, we'll have it finished. You even made that promise that if you did finish by a certain time, you were going to purposefully lock yourself in a cabin in the woods until you got it done, and that was like 3 years ago that you never fulfilled. So even if this whole entire thing comes out about it, why should we even care what it is that you have to say? Because you clearly do not care about the people who actually supported you for such a long time.
And I will keep saying it.
Someone made a comment years back that I think might actually be true, and I'm not sure, because I would literally have to ask George R.R. Martin himself to confirm or deny it. But one thing that someone commented is that the people writing the ending of the Game of Thrones TV series may have actually used a story outline given to them by George R.R. Martin himself to write out the final episodes, because he hadn't actually finished writing the story yet. And then when he saw the public backlash, he decided he didn't want to actually write out that ending for the books, and it is still hasn't figured out what he actually wants to replace it with.
If that is indeed the case, here's the thing about that though. The show ended 5.5 years ago. No, 6.5 years ago. And we know that he had put out a book within that amount of time. It's the fact that he's already made his money. He has too many projects that he decided that he was going to on. I mean, look at him collaborating with the Elden Ring and everything like that when he should have been writing the damn book. He was I think he was producer on, was it House of Dragon, when he should have been writing the damn book. Like here's the thing about it. I remember hearing this years ago on a podcast, and it's like, it's the fact that he keeps on saying that he is working on it when clearly the man isn't. I would actually have more respect for him if he would just come out and just say, guys, I'm too old. I can't think about this stuff anymore. I'm just going to retire. These are my golden years. I just want to live out the rest of my life in peace. I would have respect for him if he would just come out and say that. But the fact that he keeps on lying to our faces about trying to get this stuff done, all I can say is, George, I don't care. You can go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you were so passionate about that, Roger.
I completely lost interest in the Game of Thrones thing when I realized that George was seemingly just like sandbagging on writing the books. It's just like, you know what? Game of Thrones was kind of interesting, but as in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, here's the thing about that, Hunter. I ain't never consumed any Game of Thrones. I ain't watched a single episode of the show. I figured it'd be the whole entire thing where it was just so far along in it, I might as well just wait for it to be done. Then I heard about how shit the ending is. It's like, well, I'm not going to even start it now if I know it's going to end terribly.
Well, see, Game of Thrones, it has the same issue that something like Dragon Ball Z or One Piece has in terms of anime. It's like, it's so long. Like, actually just starting it from the beginning and watching every single episode in sequence. Yes, you would learn a lot about the show doing this, but also it will take years.
Yeah. Well, my whole thing about it is the more anti-AI people become, the more pro-AI it just ends up making me. Because what they're basically saying is they would rather have people go broke to pay subpar artists or just pay exorbitant amounts of money for like better work, which would take longer time for things to be released than it would be just for someone independent like myself, or say people like the Red Room, to just whip up something using AI, touch it up if they can, and then releasing at least hopefully a good product to go with it. That's kind of like my thing.
One thing that I've often mentioned in discussions about AI is that the number one use that I've actually seen for AI in terms of like actual like printed materials is actually just replacing clip art. It's like instead of generic clip art, people are using AI to generate slightly unique clip art that's a little bit different.
It's also an automation tool. Let's just be frank. At the end of the day, it's about making it easier to do things faster and cheaper without having to depend on East Asian slop shops to do it for you. This is the dirty little secret nobody talks about in the art world, which is how they actually produce all this human-produced art that we're supposed to consider superior, even though oftentimes it isn't. There's lots of cheap East Asian labor. They've known about that in animation and cartoon circles for a long time. There's lots of what you would call shop art that is purchased in bulk and then retouched. And the reality is that most digital artists, who, by the way, were the ones who originally got slammed for using digital tools rather than pen and ink and paper, right? This is not a new fight. The reality is it's just a tool that almost all commercial art uses now. Now, they either use it well and the ones that do, you don't know, or they use it poorly, like Wizards did, and then it's like, oh wow, that really
This
sucks.
looks like garbage. I don't care if it's AI or not. It's trash.
Exactly. It's like, why does the holder have that perspective, and why is he right over their shoulders and they're not noticing? And why is there a pink beholder that's smiling at gay guys kissing? What the hell?
Well, like one thing that's come up is like having AI do like randomized generation in video game level layouts. Here's the thing: people started doing that in the 90s. They didn't call it AI generative tools. That they had different words for it. And it was a lot more rudimentary and simplistic than the current version, but it existed. And like video game developers use that as a shortcut for creating video game levels in the 90s. And this is just a different way of doing the same thing. Like, okay, a classic example. I used to be a Diablo 2 modder, and Diablo 2, for most of the maps in the game, it doesn't have them as a preset. It has like it draws a white box. It throws your starting location in a certain location in the white box, which in many cases is a specific side of the map, like the Act 2 desert map area. The starting town is always in the southeast corner of the map because it's a north-facing asset and it can't be positioned on the north side of the map. Otherwise, it just doesn't look right. So, whatever. Anyway, but the rest of the layout is semi-random. It's just that the way the developers did it was that the developers would make big chunks of assets, which in later games would be called points of interest. The Diablo 2 development team didn't call it that. I forget what they actually called it, but these would be placed on the map, and then then the game would just like fill in between them, and that would be how it created maps. And honestly, it worked quite well.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to find something really quick now that we brought up the beholder, but I'm trying to find it now because I had it saved and now I can't find it.
Are you talking about the
Don't you hate it
game
when that
beholder?
happens?
Yeah, but it's I'll have to because I need to save it on here because I'm going to share it till the end of time. But it's it's an old school black and white drawing where it's the adventurers are confronting the beholder, and one of the guys in the party goes, in 2025 you are gay, and the beholder just goes, what? And it's the funniest thing, and
That
that
is
will
funny.
live in infamy for me.
That
Yeah,
is funny.
I have it saved on my phone, but now my is where I always fail. Is I save things on my phone, but never on my computer. But so yeah, that beholder. The beholder was being evil because it was using it wasn't an anti-magic cone from its eye. It was an anti-hetero cone from its eye.
Well, to be honest, that scene that you're talking about from that cover actually would make sense if the beholder is using illusion magic to enchant the people in the town square and make them do things for its amusement.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what the thing was. The beholder is making everyone be homosexual.
Why? Because it's a beholder and it wants them to not be, trying to hurt it. It wants to distract them with whatever.
Yep. And well, I think on
Oh,
top of that, I think. Oh, go ahead, Roger.
No, I just saw this scrolling on X and I hate it. Don't use poo for stuff like this. Like Pooh Bear.
Oh, jeez. That just sounds weird. I mean, they've already done a. Oh, hold on. I see you were trying to share a screen real quick. Let's see.
Pride festivals, when you tell them they can still do the parade, they can't do nude stuff in front of kids.
Jeez. Yeah, it's like I would do the Bart Simpson. What an odd thing to say.
No, that would be like you're literally genociding us, and then it's like what a Odd thing to say.
Yeah. But
You,
after
you
that,
don't look
ladies
like
and
you're
gents,
dead.
oh jeez. All
He
right.
doesn't look like he's a chick either. But
Yeah.
this is the thing. Like I said, we end up sharing society with people. Some of whom are, many of whom are, of these people are simply perverted. They're not truly psychotic. They're perverted. Historically, they would get whipped on Saturday morning at the sheriff's department, and we tell them to go out and not misbehave again. Then you have the people who are genuinely psychotic, and those people would be committed to institutions that are designed for their care, because we're not a medieval village. We don't let our crazy people wander around in the graveyard.
Yep.
To be honest, there's a lot of positives to having crypts instead of graveyards. One of them is that you can lock the door and keep people out.
True. Very true.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think with this, ladies and gentlemen, finally, as I can get a word in, we will wrap up the show for today. Thank you all for joining us. Sorry again that we missed last week, and I think we may do a show next week. But I'm thinking like the week of Thanksgiving there won't be a show, because most of us should be with our families,
Yep.
which is a
Eating.
lot more important. So yeah, eating exactly.
in excess, preferably.
Yeah, and well, on Saturday it'll be eating all the delicious leftovers, because a good leftover turkey Thanksgiving sandwich is amazing.
Oh yes, and the naps, because you ate too much.
Yep. Right, so I'll just go around, ask a simple question. So OSR Dwarf, where can everyone find you at?
You can find me as OSR Dwarf 2 on X, or you can find me on the Red Room Discord server, which is a great place for people who enjoy Red Room games and want to get information on the latest that's happening there. And of course, you can see me on YouTube on the Red Room channel, where I will be playing games with the team periodically. We will have game sessions, and we'll just have fun. And there you go.
Yeah, I need to get my hands on the Savage Swords book at some point. That's one I've had my eye on since I got the PDF. So
You'll love it.
yep. Mr. Roger, where can everyone find you at?
You can find me over on Country Time Pop, where you can get your southern taste of news and reviews and all things pop culture, and also over on Rustic Rollers, where we just do tabletop gaming.
Yep. And Mr. Marhawk, man, where can we all find you at?
Well, I've been streaming on Kick and Twitch periodically. Currently, I'm working on typing up annotations for a YouTube video looking at the Pegasus episode from Star Trek: The Next Generation, and what you could pull from it to make a tabletop game.
All right, and then you can always find me on X at under the Ultra Mega TTRPG, or at Ultra TTRPGER. And I also live stream to Rumble and YouTube under, of course, the same name, at Ultra TTRPGER. You can just type in the handle almost anywhere, and you'll be able to find me. And you can also find me hanging out in the Barrows and Borderlands Discord server, which I think it's linked in some of my in some of the show notes I have. If not, I need to rectify that. But but you can also access the Barrows and Borderlands through their website, which I'm sure has the link there too. And you can I'm in a lot of different servers, so I'm pretty sure if you're in let's see, I'm in the Red Room server, I'm in Lord Mattias' server, Barrows and Borderlands server, I'm in Patty Parler's server. We got a Country Time Pop has his own server, so if you ever join that, you'll find me there too. And yeah, I also been helping stream the curse. I've been streaming and running the on the Rustic Roller channels, so you just gotta kind of stay up to date with when we'll do those, because we tried bi-weekly and now it's just whenever we can at this point. So hopefully maybe next year we'll get back on the bi-weekly schedule, but we'll see. But with that, ladies and gents, thank you again for joining us on another episode of the Ultracast. Hope you all had a great Halloween. They ate a lot of Can't Sugar sweets. And now we're getting towards the end of the year. So let's all see if we can survive. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye.